Do you know what anxiety is? I'm like, no. He goes, it's anticipation of future pain. Rock bottom is not the worst place. Because rock bottom means now you can start rebuilding. Most of us, we have the critic riding shotgun with us. So he's right next to us and he's like, psst, you should take a detour and cheat on your diet. You should take a detour and not work out. You should take a detour and sleep. Now you stack years, you daisy chain years together, and then you become this person who is led by the advocate, congruent with the version of the man that he wants to be, and aligned with consciousness.
So your book, Man Up, I want to start with kind of understanding what Man Up means to you and why you chose to name it that.
When I wrote my book in 2016, I wrote it in 2016, it got published in 2018. Building up to that, right around 2013, I had a massive panic attack. And man, I'm talking about a panic attack so massive that I thought I was having a heart attack. I remember dropping to my knees, my heart racing, getting tunnel vision, and I could hear the thug-lug, thug-lug, thug-lug in my ears, like breaking out in a sweat. And I'm like, man, I'm 38 years old, and this must be what a heart attack is.
Scary.
And the next day I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, hey, you're clear, no heart attack, but I think you might have had a panic attack. And I was like, what? That's not me. I don't have panic attacks. He's like, well, you had one. How's your life? How's your lifestyle? And of course, as an entrepreneur, I'm burning the candle on both ends. I'm, all of a sudden working way more hours than I should be. And it wasn't productive work. It was wasteful time work and trying to do productive stuff. All that to say that it catches up to you, right? And then you begin to cut corners on your diet. You cut corners on your workouts, cut corners on sleep. And then, boom, that's how a panic attack happens. So once I knew that I had to solve the issues in my life, because my doctor recommended that I go see a therapist to deal with my constant state of anxiety that I was in, which triggered the panic attack. My therapist, Kevin Downing, he's like, do you know what anxiety is? I'm like, no. He goes, it's anticipation of future pain. And when I heard those words from him, I was like, ooh, there's a lot of future pains in my life that I'm anticipating, right? Conversation with my business partner at the time, making decisions on employees to keep and part ways with, and I would constantly just kick the can down the road. So I was like, all right, man, it's time to man up, Bedros. This was like a mantra to myself. And I say that in the book. It was a mantra to myself, like man up and have that conversation. Man up and pull the trigger on that. Man up and do the thing. Man up and wake up early and get to that workout. Man up and start eating clean again. And it was one man up conversation at a time that got me back to congruency with the version of myself that I used to be, right? The personal trainer, the person that people would come to for like positive motivation and transforming their life. And by this point now I had added 30 pounds of weight, and it wasn't muscle, it was fat. I had bags underneath my eyes. People tell me today at 50 years old, I look better than I did 12 years ago when I had that panic attack at 38.
Wow.
And it's a byproduct of how I was treating my body as a garbage can, and garbage in, garbage out.
Sure.
And so I just man upped my way through making all of the right moves and decisions that I needed to make. And so to me, it felt natural to call the book Man Up.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. That's interesting because I see that a lot in my patient population as well. They'll come in with a lot of times their life just kind of falling apart and they are looking for that magic bullet. But the reality is sometimes when you mistreat your body chemistry gets just so thrown off, right?
Exactly.
And not just the basic things like diet, nutrition, which are of course important, but that can directly and indirectly affect your hormones. And especially as males, as aging males, that really can affect us. So,
dude, the stress factor, the lack of sleep,
totally,
right? All those things affect the hormones, and that's a whole different conversation. Like, it was a few years after that panic attack that I ended up seeking out a way to start optimizing my health.
Perfect.
We hear about that all the time. That's what you do as an expert. But I thought, well, I work out, I eat right. But soon you let that go, you put on 30 pounds, and before you know it, nothing about me was optimized. Not my sleep, not my nutrition, not my workouts, not my thought process. And I started feeling foggy-headed. And I realized, no, there is a place for optimization. And I was far from that.
Right. That's what a lot of people don't realize is how much the physical plays into the mental and the emotional, right? So what I do is I really kind of get these guys optimized from a hormonal standpoint, a diet and nutrition standpoint, which it almost sounds like you did that on your own. So when you have guys that come to you and they're kind of falling apart, I guess, how do you first kind of get them on the right path to understand the importance of that?
For me, I realized that instinctively we all know. Like, as I look back, and what do they say? Hindsight is 20/20. Right. So when it's the year is 2023, and I'm literally on my knees having what I think is a heart attack, wondering, okay, if I die right now at the age of 38, who's going to walk Chloe, my daughter, down the aisle? Who's going to teach Andrew, my son, to be a modern day knight? I remember in that moment just accepting death, but feeling sadness for my kids, because I wasn't going to be there to follow through to do what a dad does.
Sure.
But hindsight being 20/20, only a couple years later, I look back and I was like, oh, I saw this whole panic attack coming. We all do.
Right.
We have conscience. We know internally what's right and wrong.
Right.
You know that if I didn't sleep well tonight, I might be able to pull off a normal day tomorrow.
Right.
But if I don't sleep well tomorrow night, and the next night, and the next night, the slippery slope begins. And then if I'm sleep deprived, I'm more likely going to crave things that are sugary, fatty, right, salty, that sweet salt cycle. And if I'm now not sleeping well, I probably am eating crappy foods. Oh, gee, that explains why I didn't go work out. But the lack of workout, I didn't stop working out. It started with just trying less in the gym. Just cutting a few exercises, cutting a few sets and reps. And before you know it, I was that guy going through the range of motion, but not really getting the workout that I should have.
Right.
And so you look back and you go, okay, I see how the weight came on board. And so I say that because it is a slippery slope. It's not like all of a sudden you go, how am I so deviated off my path? And so when I ask men, and I'm working with men, and they're like, man, I don't know where to begin. My marriage sucks. Like, I literally got a DM today on my IG. He goes, a woman ruined my life, as though some random woman came into his life and ruined it. And I had to remind him that's a woman you chose.
Right.
My dog got run over by a truck. Okay, that could happen. I get it.
Sure.
Got fired from my job. Therefore, I got all depressed and anxious, like literally using the words that I hear from men all the time. And that led to not working out and drinking a lot. And I've lost 25 pounds of muscle, right? It's like, all right, where could we have maybe looked back and been, okay, here's the first like domino in this string of decisions that I'm about to make. So when I look back on my life, I saw that sleeping was it. I was trying to stay awake a little longer to work a little bit more on my business. And if I go even further, it wasn't sleeping. It was really structuring my schedule to work on the most important stuff, and then maybe hiring an assistant earlier in life so that I could have someone to delegate the trivial things to.
Sure.
Right? Because now I was trying to do the important stuff and the trivial stuff.
Right.
And so soon I'm going to steal time from my family. I'm going to steal time from my sleep. And then that's how the slippery slope began. So I ask men, I go, hey, let's find where that golden thread was. The first bad decision you made that led to the second bad decision. Might have been drinking, might have been pornography, might have been whatever it was that led to a string of bad decisions where your life today sucks, and then reverse engineer it back to normality.
Got it. Okay. So what I've noticed, and it sounds like you've seen this too, is it's never just one thing. It's like when you have that first domino fall, it tends to be like your whole entire life gets affected.
It's always a domino effect.
It's always that way, right?
Yeah.
So when it rains, it pours, that saying, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I can tell you this, like, remember, that happened to me 12 years ago, right?
Yeah.
38. At 50 now, I can literally tell you, like, if I get one bad night of sleep, I can hear the conversation in my head, like, hey, it's okay to eat a little sloppy. And I'm like, no, fat boy, it's not.
Interesting.
It's not okay to eat a little sloppy. It's not okay to cut corners in the gym. Because that inner critic that we all have tells us that, you know what, you didn't sleep well, man. Just take it easy in the gym.
Right.
Maybe don't even go to the gym.
it's that self-negotiation, right?
And maybe you should just eat a little bit more of your favorite foods, like a quesadilla or a slice of pizza. You deserve it. You've been working hard. And if you start negotiating with that inner critic, like, that's where the dominoes begin to fall. And most men, we don't listen to the inner voice, conscience, God, universal powers, whoever you want to call it. We end up slightly negotiating one thing away until we slowly encroach away from our desired self.
Yeah. It's like the comfort crisis that I feel like we're dealing with in today's modern society. It's so easy to get anything at your fingertips.
Yeah.
You can order food. You can order pretty much entertainment. You don't have to get off your couch for anything. It's almost like we have too many options, and you have to inject some sort of like difficulty or conflict in your life.
Yeah, that's
you know?
exactly right.
Yeah, which sounds a lot like maybe what the project is about.
That's it.
To some degree, you know.
It's a massive reset button.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
I know you have the 5 pillars on the project. I'd love to hear more about that for the audience.
Yeah, so just to kind of set a foundation for your viewers and listeners, the project is a 75-hour personal development experience for men. And it's people go, oh, how's a 75-hour broken up into over 6 months, over a year? Like 75 hours straight. Like it starts Tuesday at 1 p.m. and then it goes straight till Friday at 5 p.m.
Wow.
And it's 75 hours straight. And my instructors are a Navy SEAL, a pro MMA fighter, a U.S. Marine, and myself, and a SEER instructor. And the 5 of us instructors, plus a crew of former project graduates, other dudes who have graduated the project, who kind of support setting up the next evolutions. So it's ice bath, truck pull, hike with like logs and heavy lumber and packs like rucksacks and sandbags and chains. Just hardship over time with breaks in between for teaching on the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars being faith, family, fitness, finances, and fulfillment.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
And really, it's faith, family, fitness, and finances. And if a man can get those 4 down, fulfillment is a byproduct. That's why I have fulfillment last as a pillar, because if you can get your faith, family, fitness, and finances dialed in, fulfillment is a byproduct of that. A man that has faith, not only in a higher power, and that higher power could be God, could be universal consciousness.
Yeah.
Faith in yourself, just confidence in yourself.
Sure.
Faith in the fact that you have what it takes to get the job done, whatever the job might be, right?
Right.
So there's faith. There's fitness. Fitness as in physical fitness, obviously being a formidable force, being strong, being courageous, but also mental and emotional fitness, like mental and emotional hygiene, to be able to control your anger, to be able to control outbursts, to be able to not react to things, but instead respond to a situation by thinking about your actions first, thinking about what is causing this person to make me want to react to them and make a fool of myself. And then instead of reacting and looking like a fool, I'm going to respond properly. Like it's physical, mental, emotional fitness is super important. And if you've got fitness covered, well, then you got family. And at the end of the day, we're a tribal unit, man. The lone wolf dies, but the wolf pack survives. And so, what is it that you're doing? Are you still dating your wife? Or have you now stopped dating your wife? Have you let your wife encroach and cross the line of treating you like her boy because you let her make the decisions instead of you making the decisions in the relationship? And now you feel like her boy and she feels a sense of resentment towards you because she wants to be led as a woman, but you let her lead you, you let her make the decisions. Now we're not going to do date nights, or it'll just be random. And most men do this. We'll court a girl for a long time. We'll try and win her over. And then as soon as we get her, we put her on a pedestal or somewhere. We put her on a mantle, metaphorically, and then we move on to conquering the next thing. That's what we men want to do. Well, a woman wants to be seen and heard and recognized. And a man wants to be respected and loved.
Right.
Not loved and respected, respected and loved. And so if she's not seen, heard, and recognized like you used to see her recognized, right? And like,
totally.
Wow, you look beautiful. Oh
Sure.
my God, I'm going to take you out here, and then we're going to go there. And now all of a sudden, she's not going to respect you and love you. She's going to treat you like her boy. She's going to start bossing you around. So how's your relationship with your wife? How's your relationship with your kids? How's your relationship with your extended family? We improve that. And then, of course, we got finances. What is the modern day version? Every man is a hunter. It's in our DNA. The modern day version of hunting is, whether in a career or as an entrepreneur like yourself,
right.
Hunting means being able to go and find the money in exchange for some value or time or problem solving that you do, and then make enough money to be able to bring it back and buy whatever you need to support your family and have a surplus left over to invest for the future and create some kind of financial freedom down the line for yourself and your family. And if a man can do that, have faith, family, fitness, and finances, then he's a fulfilled man. And that's what we're looking for. And in the absence of those 4 pillars, a man gets depressed, he gets anxious, he starts looking for ways to escape his anxiety and depression, and that's when vices begin to kick in.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
When you're talking about that, what I keep thinking about personally, as well as a lot of the clients that I have, is kind of that internal voice, like you mentioned, that self-talk, right? Because so many of us deal with, I mean, almost these pre-programmed narratives that have been installed into us as children. And maybe a lot of us don't recognize it. You have a ton of insight, and I think having that insight is probably the first step. But how do you think that kind of self-conversation plays into like getting through the project, kind of getting your life in order with the 5 Fs and just kind of moving out of this stuck place for these guys?
That's a really insightful question, because there is a conversation with self that always takes place.
Yeah.
And we often forget that. We look at ourselves as flesh, bones, blood, and feelings and thoughts, which is true. That's exactly what we are. You could see it. I could see it in you. I could see it in everybody in this room. But we're also consciousness.
Yeah.
And this flesh vehicle, this body that is very similar to an animal, like a dog, a coyote. We have thoughts and feelings, and based on our thoughts and feelings and desires, we will go and look for food and look for water and try and get sleep and look for companionship. And if someone didn't make us feel good, we get angry, and we have emotions, anger and fear and frustration and jealousy. Well, that's great. So I always call us, we're a dichotomy. We're human animals,
right?
But we're also godlike. We're consciousness. Wow. Because you're connected to your conscience. God speaks to you through your conscience, through your internal dialogue of knowing what's undeniably good and bad. That's what your conscience is. Like this, when you're about to make a bad decision, you're like, ooh, I know this is bad. You look to your left, you look to your right, and then you do it. Why are you doing that? Because you know internally it's a bad move, right? Yeah, There's a moral compass within you, and every one of us men know what's good and what's not good for us, right?
Yeah.
And so that is that internal dialogue. So that's God or the universal consciousness speaking to you, because the human body will die. Like I told you earlier before we started rolling, I've got a hernia right now.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with the hernia. In 4 weeks, I'm going to get a surgery. I've also got a torn tricep that I've been able to live with because thankfully I'm strong, and I've got like 85-90% of the strength there. And I've got a bucket tear in my meniscus in my right knee. Now that I'm 50 years old, I'm doing jujitsu. I'm still lifting like a savage for 35 years now, and I'm doing all these crazy things, hiking. My body does break down.
Of course.
So I do know that the human animal will break down. Consciousness, however, doesn't. Consciousness is always there, always present. It's our inner radiance. So if we don't have that inner dialogue, like I gave you the example earlier, if I don't sleep well, the old version of me would listen to and the dialogue, by the way, is a 2-part dialogue. There's the inner critic, which we talked about, which in a more eloquent way, we call it the inner bitch, right? We call it that at the project.
Sure.
I've coached you before.
Yeah,
we call it our inner bitch.
Right.
And then we have our inner advocate. So
right.
There's a critic and the advocate. That is consciousness.
Right.
When we are leaning more towards a human animal, impulsive, emotional, listening to our feelings, we will always obey the inner critic, the inner bitch, who tries to negotiate. When we are connected to higher self, consciousness, congruent with the path that we want to walk, aligned with the version of the man that you want to be, you will always listen to your inner advocate. I say it this way. If Akash is the driver in the car, so you are consciousness. The car is your body.
Yeah.
You're driving this vehicle that's destined to break down, like my vehicle is breaking down right now, which I'm going to surgically get fixed. And the goal is how long can I get this thing to go down the road, right? Can I reach 100 years old, 105 years old? But at some point, this vehicle is breaking down. So if you are the driver, your body is the vehicle. In the vehicle are 2 other passengers. Most of us, we have the critic riding shotgun with us. So he's right next to us, and he's like, psst. You should take a detour and cheat on your diet. You should take a detour and not work out. You should take a detour and sleep in. You should take a detour and drink heavily. You should take a detour and say what's up to that girl, right? You're like, but then way in the back, you hear some faint mumbling, and you're like, I can't make out what it is, but it's coming from the trunk. That's your advocate. Most of us metaphorically have our advocate zip-tied, bound, and gagged, and he's actually trying to go, no, don't do it. I believe in you. You're a fucking awesome human being. Yeah. Do not take the detours and do the wrong things. You know that's not right for you. Yeah. You know you're meant for more. You know that you'll feel guilty.
Yeah.
What we have to do as humans is stop the car and metaphorically drag the inner bitch, the critic, put him in the trunk, and bound and gag him, and then take that advocate and put him in the front seat.
I love that.
And one time somebody asked me, they said, well, if you're going to pull over metaphorically and take out the inner critic, why not just leave him on the side of the road? You can't. You can't. That is not how our Creator created us. We must have duality within us. We must have the dark and the light. Otherwise, we become God ourselves, and we are not God-like yet.
Right.
We have the capacity to be God-like, but we're not God-like yet. And so we have, in order for the critic or the advocate to be able to support you and motivate you and inspire you and say, I believe in you, because he's in your passenger seat, we need the critic to be there in the trunk to go just constantly trying to break out of his zip cuffs, take the gag ball out, to come and sit in that front seat. It's almost like Superman without kryptonite is not Superman.
Yeah, it's true.
Does that
We
make
need the
sense?
duality, yeah.
Yeah.
How do we do that though as like men? How do we put that critic in the back seat? Because most of us don't even know that critic is next to us. Most of us think that's part of us.
Right. And most of us think that there is no advocate because
Correct,
we have done so well listening to the critic over and over again that we go, that's all there is the critic's voice. That's all I hear.
Right.
When in reality, like I said, in the trunk, there is an advocate who's rooting for you, who believes in you, who cheers for you, who loves you, who knows you're capable of more, and knows what your higher potential is. That person lives within you, and that is your consciousness.
Sure.
Right? However, he's in the trunk. So how do we swap those two people out? You asked a beautiful question. Stacking little wins consistently over a long period of time.
Got it.
So when people tell me, Bedros, how do I make $1 million? I'm like, go make your first dollar. And then make your second. And then turn that $2 into $4, turn the 4 into 8, 8 into 16, 16 into 32. I don't know any one way to make $1 million like this, but I know 1,000,000 ways to make $1, right?
Right.
And I share that because if we start stacking little wins, so see, people always want to know, like, what is the one thing I got to do to be successful and to be like the ultra man? There's no one thing. The magic pill. There is no one thing, man.
Right.
Guess what? When your alarm goes off, don't hit the snooze button.
Right.
Turn it off and get up. You just kept a promise to yourself. You just stacked a W.
Nice.
Right? Instead of an L.
Nice.
That's a good win. Now, if you plan on drinking 30 ounces of water like I do every morning, drink your 30 ounces of water. And if you plan on going right to the gym afterwards, don't suck on the social media teats. Go right to the gym and get that workout. And now you got 3 wins stacked first thing in the morning. And then you planned on working on your business instead of doing social media. Great, work on your business for the first couple of hours. And then you planned on finally by 9 a.m., I'm going to finally do like 20, 30 minutes of social media. Then it's 9 a.m., now do your social media. You've stacked 5 or 6 wins. It's inevitable that you're going to win that day. And if you win that day, you win that week. You win that week, you win the month. You win the month, you win the year. You stack years. You daisy chain years together. And then you become this person who is literally led by the advocate, congruent with the version of the man that he wants to be, and aligned with consciousness.
I love it.
And that's how we literally, over time, take one guy out of the trunk and put the other guy in.
I love that, man. I love that.
Stacking little wins.
Just stacking those little wins,
That's
right?
it.
And it just seems so difficult because a lot of people that I've run into, and probably you too, they want the big win right away tomorrow, right?
It feels good.
And they don't want to do the work, right? And I can speak from personal experience before I started stacking those little wins after some of our conversations as well.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about that, too, for me, what I think about that is, well, you hear all this biohacking stuff about like morning routines and all that stuff. So like, how important is having this like kind of meticulous, complicated morning routine that people have to follow versus just getting the work done sometimes?
Yeah.
Like Hormozi talks about, listen, you can have the greatest morning routine, but if it takes you 2 to 3 hours before you even start your day, what are you really doing here,
That's just called tactical avoidance. Right?
I like that.
People that have like this like long, drawn out 2-3 hour morning routine where it's like, well, I wake up and I meditate and then I journal and then I do the sound bowls and then I light sage and I run around my room. Shut the fuck up, because if you're doing all of that, you're tactically avoiding the work you need to do. How about you wake up when your alarm goes off and don't hit the snooze button? How about you drink some water and then you actually just take out a notepad and say, what do I need to do this morning? Write those 3 to 5 things down, the things that need to make you money and give you a sense of meaning, and then actually do those things instead of impulsively reaching for your phone or coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
It's stacking little wins. Does that mean you do need to do, as Craig Ballantyne says, do you need to be doing interpretive dance first thing in the morning? No, you don't. You don't. That is tactical avoidance because it makes you feel like you're doing something productive.
Yeah, sure.
But in reality, you're just avoiding the work that needs to be done.
Yeah, and it's kind of almost easy to do that and mindless to a degree, right?
Oh, and by the way, that looks so good on social media. When when you prop your camera right there, and then you get the sound bowl and you're sitting there looking all zen-like doing the sound bowl, and then you get up and then turn the fucking camera off and edit it and put it on social media. You go, this is just one piece of my 12-part morning routine. Shut the fuck up, right? You know what I mean?
I do. I've definitely been on both sides of that.
Yeah.
So is it safe to say that Bedros does not have a morning routine?
I have a morning routine.
Okay.
And it's designed to make me a lot of money.
Yeah.
And give me a great sense of meaning.
Okay.
Because as
a very practical, boom.
As a man, I want money and meaning.
For sure.
Right?
Makes
fulfillment,
sense.
That 5th F-bomb.
Yeah.
Right? Money and meaning. So finances and then meaning is fulfillment. And so I'll give you an example. So my alarm goes off at 5:30 in the morning. I've turned off the snooze feature on my phone. Turns out you can actually turn that feature off.
Nice.
Instead of seeing a snooze button, all I see is off. So I press the off button and I get out of bed. You know what I've just told myself? People who hit the snooze button, they just told themselves that I'm going to bypass my goals and dreams, and I'm going to take 10 or 15 more minutes of bullshit, useless, interrupted sleep. Because when you hit the snooze button, you get 15 more minutes of sleep. It's not even quality sleep.
Nope.
It's like the worst type of sleep. You know, like you're a biohacker.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I've told myself is, no, what losers do is hit the snooze button and get shitty sleep.
Right.
What winners do is I get up and dominate my dreams.
Love it.
And then I drink my 30 ounces of water. I turn on the Jack Johnson Spotify channel because I love Jack Johnson.
Yeah,
his music just puts me in a great flow state. And while I'm showering, I'm just thinking about 3 people in my life who have added value, just 3 random people. And then when I get out of the shower, I'll send them a gratitude text message.
Love it, man.
So literally the first 30 minutes of my day, my morning routine is done in terms of because I want to be in a state of gratitude.
Yep.
I want to listen to music that puts me in a flow state.
Okay.
Because I'm about to then I drink water to rehydrate my body and my brain.
Perfect.
Right? Because we're dehydrating all night. You slept 7.5, 8 hours. And by the way, I already stacked wins because I did 4 things that I said I would do, and I did them. And the 4th one being sending out 3 gratitude text messages. Like, hey, Akash, thank you so much for being an awesome coaching client. Man, love you and appreciate you. Hope you have an awesome day. Boom, send. And sometimes, and the people go, why do you do that? I go, as an entrepreneur, even though I have the best schedule planned, some shit's going to come fall on my lap.
That's right.
Because the buck starts and stops with me.
That's right.
Someone in one of my companies is going to reach out to me and go, hey, we got a fire that you need to put out. So why not start my day with a sense of gratitude to 3 people, knowing that sometime throughout the day, those 3 people are going to be like, Bedros, thank you so much. That was so meaningful. I really appreciate it. So no matter if my day went to shit after that, sending my gratitude messages, I'm guaranteed at least 3 people are going to thank me and show appreciation.
Awesome.
Even if the rest of my day went to shit. So then I go downstairs, and my morning routine actually starts the night before on my notes on my iPhone. Because the night before, I go, okay, in the morning, what do I need to work on to make myself more money? Is it a particular email that I need to respond to? Is it a blog post I need to write and point traffic to a particular live event that I'm having? Like, what is the work that I need to do that creates money and gives me a great sense of meaning? Maybe it's a social media post I'm going to put up because I know how to write in a fashion that moves people's emotion and makes them do the things that they should be doing instead of just scroll sucking. What do they call it now? Doom scrolling.
Totally.
You know that term?
Yeah,
makes sense. I just learned that term, doom scrolling.
Yeah.
The term alone makes me repulsed.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? So then I'll work for an hour and a half to 2 hours on my to-do list that I made the night before, drink my protein shake, and I'm off to the gym by 9 a.m.
Sweet.
That's it. Like there's now some people, hey, you want to meditate? Meditate. You want to do sound bowls? Do sound bowls. But you're going to string together meditation, sound bowls, hugging trees, and fucking doing sage, and then finish it up with interpretive dance. You're just a loser, dude. You're just trying to avoid life at that point.
And at that point, somebody like yourself is probably like already started their day.
I've started that.
So they're off to the races.
Not only that, if me and that person are in the same industry, I will own their business, or I will put them out of business within months. And I've done that to people. I've come from behind. When I enter a new industry, I'm so locked on that I will be the number one guy in that industry within a year or two. And so, like, you don't want to run into the my version, the me in your industry. Like, you want to be the me in whatever industry you're in.
100%. Yeah.
That makes sense?
It does. Yeah. It sounds like you maintain that hunger, right? Even though necessarily you don't have to have it at this point, but I mean, that's a big thing is to maintain that hunger. But I have to have it
because as men, we're always hungry for something.
That's right.
And if it's not hunger for accomplishment, like money and meaning, then I'm going to turn my sights into some kind of either self-destruction through alcohol, weed, cocaine, pussy, something.
Totally, it's true. There's always something there.
I'm going to be hungry for positive things and not negative things.
Just staying focused on it, right? Keeping that drive alive, And to do that, I mean, you got to have the right fuel in the tank, which is what I've noticed, right? Like getting our guys like optimized from a health standpoint. Because if you're running with just bad gas, 3 tires, and you have the best mindset in the world, it's not going to do anything.
That's exactly right.
So it all ties together.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. With that, the optimization piece was huge. I'll give you an example. Someone introduced me to Dr. Gabriel Lyon about 7 years ago. And, I know who it was. It was Jason Redman. He introduced me to Dr. Gabriel Lyon. And I was telling Jason, I'm like, man, sometimes at the end of the day, I'm so exhausted and fatigued.
Yeah.
I can't remember where my home is. And he's like, wait, what?
Scary.
He goes, dude, Jason Redman's a Navy SEAL. He goes, dude, have you had a concussion before? Like, have you had shit explode next to you? Have you had your brain rattled from? I was like, no, dude, you're the Navy SEAL. You've probably had concussions.
Right.
And I haven't.
Right.
He goes, dude, you shouldn't be forgetting things. I go, no, I just kind of forget where my house is, but then I think about it for a minute. I'm like, that's right. Go up the hill, make a right-hand turn, and then up the windy road, and there's your driveway. But I was just telling him matter-of-factly. He goes, I need you to talk to someone. So he connects me to Dr. Gabrielle. And this is before I knew you. And so, but very much like you, she took a holistic approach.
Awesome.
She's like, let's optimize you. Let's figure out what's going on.
I love it.
Track my sleep. Did a blood panel test. And she's like, dude, you've got too much mercury in your brain. Like, in your body, not your brain.
Yeah.
She goes, that's probably causing your brain to not
poisoning yourself, basically. Yeah.
And guess what? Surprise, surprise. I'm a hard-charging entrepreneur.
Right.
And so I'm very OCD.
Right.
And habit-forming. And so I was eating sushi 4 times a week for 10 years straight.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Because I would just leave my gym, go to Sushi 10 down the street, and eat my sushi, and then off I go. Well, I'd increased the blood mercury levels, right? And so she helped me fix that, optimize my sleep, and all of a sudden, testosterone levels, we helped optimize that as well. There was one more thing, thyroid.
Perfect.
It was like slightly off. Man, now all of a sudden I'm sleeping better. I'm recovering better. My memory's better.
I love it.
I'm back to being a machine again.
I love it.
And it doesn't matter if I'm 30, 40, 50, or 70, 80, 90. From this point forward, I will always stay optimized.
Yeah, that's a great testament to that. Like, if you're not optimized, I'm sure you have the right mindset at that point. But if you're forgetting things at the end of the day, you can only go so far.
It's the equivalent, and you kind of touched on this. It's the equivalent of if I was going to be in the 24 Hours of Le Mans race.
Yeah.
But instead of taking a high performance vehicle, I take like a 1992 Honda Civic with the tires that are bald, and took out the spark plug out of one of the cylinders, and I'm using the crappiest gas,
right?
And thinking I'm somehow going to be
it's just unrealistic, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I try to teach people too. Is look, if you're not measuring it to some degree, there's no way you can just think you're eating healthy.
Bingo.
And what I've seen a lot is people think they're eating healthy and they're eating way too much fat and not enough protein. Which Dr. Lyon talks about the importance of protein as well. She's spot on.
Yeah.
But if you're not measuring it, you're just not. You have no way to know if you're improving.
Yeah.
How do you have your guys measure like their progress? Maybe not in the nutrition side of things, but just in their life.
Yeah. So at the project, we give them a battle book. It's a journal.
Nice.
And in that journal, we teach them obviously the 4 F-bombs, which leads to the 5th F-bomb, fulfillment, as we talked about.
Yeah.
But then there's the very last 90 pages are what's called your next 90 days. And in that journal, it literally, you write the day, you write your goals for the day, like what you're going to work on, right? Because like I said, I do it on my notes on my iPhone, but we wanted to make something a little more official for these guys.
Totally.
So you write your GSD list, what I call your GSD list. GSD stands for Get Shit Done list, GSD list. But then it's like, hey, what are the things that I did in these four areas? Faith, family, fitness, and finance. And you write them down, and then you go back to doing it. So when you journal, and you can go back to something and cross it out. Okay, I did this for this F-bomb. I did this for that F-bomb. I did this for that F-bomb. And then I went through my 5 money and meaning things to do. You feel like a fulfilled man when you're putting your head on the pillow. Like, did I work out and leave everything in the gym or on the trail? Yes. Did I do something to fortify my mind and my emotions? Yes. Did I show up for my family? Yes. Did I do something to really strengthen my faith in self or in a higher power? Yes. What am I doing for my finances to make myself financially free, sovereign? Okay, check, 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 check. And if you can do something for 90 days, you've built a pattern for life.
Perfect.
And that's why we call it your next 90 days, because once they leave the project, we want them to journal through and not just kind of go by the seat of their pants.
Sure.
Right?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I like the fact that you do it for 90 days because, there's this kind of rumor floating around that 21 days is what it takes to make a habit.
Yeah,
it's actually not true at all. I mean, the research actually shows it's 67 days.
Really?
Yeah. So that's actually like what the data has shown us. But if you're doing it for 90 days, you're set.
Probably some lazy ass motherfucker that came up with the whole 21 days.
For sure.
They're like, you know what? I can't go 67 days because I'm a loser. I think I'm going to claim 21 days and then spread that rumor.
And sell a book or whatever the case may be, right?
Because look, isn't it easier if you sell a book saying in 21 days you can change your habits?
100%.
67 days?
Right.
Three times the amount?
And it's catchy, right? I can do anything for 3 weeks.
Of course.
Right? Yeah, that's right. You have some great quotes, Bedros, that I love and I really resonate with. I want to kind of just bring some up and I'd love for you to just kind of comment on it. So one I like a lot is this one here. The emotionally immature man seeks out motivation to do something hard one time, while the emotionally mature man uses discipline to do something hard 1,000 times. Love that, man. I love that. Talk to me with that one.
Yeah. Well, most people today, we live in a time where people are motivational junkies.
Sure.
And I think it might be because of YouTube and podcasts and social media. And while I put out plenty of motivational content, what I hope motivation is the spark. The fire that should continue is discipline.
Yeah.
Which is, again, goes back to a man should know what his calling and his purpose is, and he should go, over through hell and high water to accomplish that every day, no matter what. Like I said, I've got a torn tricep, I've got a hernia, and I've got a bucket tear in my meniscus. I'm still working out. Have I modified my workouts? Absolutely.
Right.
I'm doing jujitsu, but I'm not sparring. I'm just doing the drills because I don't want to forget the positions and the submissions, so that when post-surgery I can go back to it. And because I know that's part of my life's mission, is to be an active and capable and confident man who's formidable. God forbid something happens where I have to deploy violence. And I'm not going to let a torn tricep, the bucket tear in my meniscus, and a hernia stop me from that. And I share this with you because people are like, oh, I got a hangnail, so I can't work out for a few weeks. It's like, stop it. Don't do that.
Right.
So motivation, I might be able to do something one time through motivation.
Right.
But I'm disciplined, and it doesn't matter what's injured, what's torn, and what's not. Discipline will push me through. I've had to modify things, but a disciplined man can go through hell and high water to accomplish the outcome. So and there's nothing wrong with being motivated, by the way. We all need that spark of motivation. I could look at you and be like, man, I'm 50 pounds overweight. I look at this guy and he's lean and he's jacked. He motivates me to get fit. But if I have to keep coming back to you for another hit of motivation to go work out and eat right, and then come back to you again.
I see.
Now I become codependent, right? I want to be an independent man. And so I'm going to be like, you know what? This guy is the avatar of who I want to look like. Peace out. You won't see me for 6 months. I'm going to go eat clean. I'm going to work out like a savage. I'm going to clean my mind and my emotions. And I'm going to be the most disciplined man on the planet for those 6 months and beyond.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
And to your point, it does seem like more and more difficult to make that switch from motivation to discipline. It's almost too easy to pick up your phone and just get some motivation and get that dopamine hit, really.
That's what it is.
Until it wears off, and then you can do it again.
I can motivate you in 15 seconds using a Instagram short or reel or something.
Right.
I can't get you to be disciplined quickly.
Right.
And so when you see your favorite influencer, thought leader on social media, and you get motivated and you get that dopamine hit, you're like, yeah, that felt good. I want more of that.
Yeah.
I wish there was a way to help someone be disciplined in 15 seconds so they can go, I want more of that.
Sure.
Right? But there isn't. Motivation starts the fire, and then it's our job to stoke the fire and turn it into this raging inferno of discipline.
Yeah, that makes sense. One thing that I've used on my clients, and there's actually research to back this up, is totally counterintuitive. But the old thought was, hey, if I'm going to lose 10 pounds or I'm going to lose 20 pounds, I'm going to tell everybody around me so they keep me motivated and I can stay on track. That doesn't work, Because what you do when you do that is you almost get the reward because you're getting that, hey, good job, keep going. You're getting that call or that text every day, you can do it. And that almost triggers the dopamine release and subconsciously the process as though you've already accomplished the reward. So it actually works against you. So one thing that we've tried which works is don't talk about it. You want to lose 20 pounds? Go lose 20 pounds. This is how you're going to do it. Don't tell anybody. And just come back a new man.
Yeah.
That actually works.
Think about that. They come back 20 pounds fitter, more athletic, looking completely different.
Totally.
And now you're there. Everyone's like, wow, look at you. You look amazing.
That's right.
That's the dopamine I want. I did the work, got the desired outcome, and got the reward because of it.
That's
not plan on doing the work.
Correct.
Got the feedback and got the dopamine, because now that conditions me to not do work, just to go around telling people, I'm going to be a millionaire one day. One day I'm going to save 80 kids. One day I'm going to be really lean and fat. And I was like, yeah, good for you.
That's right.
You just become the one day guy.
That's right. And that is our society, unfortunately. That is exactly the majority of the people in our society, which makes it almost, if you can put these simple, straightforward things we're talking about into play and stick with it, you can almost easily get ahead in a weird way. Yeah. Because so many people are just floating down here.
That's exactly right.
It's interesting.
Yep.
Thank you. Another great quote. Circumstances do not change responsibility. Great quote. I mean, it is very clear, but what do you say to the person that says, well, Bedros, that's easy for you to say, or I have this failing business, or I have all these expenses, I have 3 baby mamas and 4 children with them. I can't do that. My circumstances are holding me back.
Yeah.
How does that person kind of move forward?
Well, I can say, it's easy for me to say now because they might see me now as the entrepreneur, as a person that makes a lot of money and has a personal brand and all those things. But when I heard that quote, it was from my supervisor at Disneyland when I worked at Carnation Cafe as a broke busboy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a busboy at Carnation Cafe restaurant in Disneyland, and I remember being 8 minutes late to my shift because of the Main Street electrical parade. So I had to wait for the parade to go by and then cross the street to Carnation Cafe. And I come in, I come in to the back of the restaurant, and there's Big Doug. He was like this big Southern gentleman-looking guy, always wore a suit and tie, bellowing voice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, shit. Of all times, Doug's in the kitchen, right? I thought I could.
The one time, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, hey, Doug, my car, and then I parked really far away in the parking lot. And then by the time I took the shuttle, because cast members, employees, you park far away, you take a shuttle to come to Disneyland and then go through security. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So, but again, I lived in Anaheim. I know what the traffic patterns are on a Saturday by Disneyland.
Right.
It was all my fault. And then, of course, because I'm running late, the electrical parade had already started. So I had to wait for a break in the electrical parade for them to let people cross Main Street. And so by the time I crossed, and then he just, as I'm going, giving him excuse after excuse, and then the Main Street, he put his hand out. So I stopped, and he goes, big boy, circumstances do not change responsibilities.
Man.
Bro, I just put my head down and walked away, and I said, it'll never happen again. I was broke. I had every reason to be fired, which would have made me much broker. I certainly didn't want to hear that because I was a young man in my 20s full of piss and vinegar and wanted to be like, fuck you, you don't know what I'm dealing with because you're in a suit and tie and you're running this joint and I'm cleaning up people's tables and shit with spilled soda pop and hot dogs and mustard all over the place. But I was like, wait a minute, just think about what he said. Circumstances not change responsibility. If I left the house an hour sooner, I could have been there without rushing, been hanging out in the back of the restaurant where the cast members had a little break area for 20 minutes, and then walking in leisurely without feeling stressed.
Totally.
So it was all on me. So circumstance do not change responsibility. And the example that you gave of someone like, I got 5 baby mamas and this and that and the other. Well, unless it was immaculate conception like Mother Mary, right?
Right.
You knocked them up.
You brought that upon yourself. Yeah.
So now deal with it.
Right. No, it totally makes sense. It totally,
man up.
It totally makes sense. Yeah, it totally makes sense. And it's funny how it takes people a while to really assume full responsibility for their lives. And I feel like once that happens, then they start doing things like getting optimized, like getting their health in order, seeing people like yourself to really get dialed in because they know it's their responsibility.
Bro, I've got a new theory on that that I'm going to share with you here and now. I don't think I've even shared this on my podcast yet. You know how oftentimes we think the worst place to hit in life is rock bottom?
Yes.
Right? Like, oh man, I've hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
I've lost everybody. She's left. The kids have left. No one's talking to me. I got fired from my job. My dog won't even look at me. I've hit rock bottom. Rock bottom is not the worst place. Because rock bottom means now you can start rebuilding. As men, we are so stupid because of our egos and our ability to escape and run away from our problems. There's a place that men hang out just before rock bottom. It's like inches above rock bottom, where the pain is greatest, because this is where you're lying to your spouse. This is where you're barely holding on to your job. This is where your dog kind of likes you, but not really. This is where you've told your kids, I know I was going to pick you up from school, but this is why I'm 20 minutes late. That place inches before rock bottom, that's the hardest place to be. I've seen men levitate there for years.
Oof.
That's where heart attacks, strokes, all these things come from.
That makes sense.
Rock bottom is a gift. That place right before rock bottom that men know how to hold on to and levitate for whatever reason, because we're just like, I can make it through this one more day of light. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Or maybe just lying to myself.
Sure.
Right? You can't.
That's a great point,
so
man.
you can start working your way up, or help yourself hit rock bottom so you can start working your way up.
That's a great point, man.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes like you don't know that you're at that point until you look back. Once you're either below it, unfortunately, or maybe past it and grown past it.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. Speaking from personal experience, that's certainly the case.
Right.
Certainly the case. Okay, this is a great one. Your haters are out there holding their breath, waiting for you to fail. Make sure they suffocate. Powerful, man. Powerful for so many reasons.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that one.
So there's two ways to address haters, right, in life. One way is to go, man, I posted something to help grow my business, and people started leaving bad comments and hating on me and saying that I'm too obsessive, or I work too hard, or I should try and take some time off and try and find some balance in my life. They're just hating on me. Okay. That could happen. This one way to address haters is like to try and appease them.
Sure.
It's never going to work. It's
Right.
like, the United States has a policy where we don't negotiate with terrorists, right?
Right.
The other way is to be so successful that your haters, who are just waiting around, waiting to see you fail, you become so successful that they choke on your success.
I love that.
That they suffocate. They're just waiting for so long, holding their bated breath, that they just die.
I love that.
And I have no problem having my haters choke on my success.
I love it, man.
And people, whenever I say this, they go, Bedros, shouldn't you like try and be successful from a place of happiness and gratitude and abundance? Yes, but God, or whoever our creator is, also put anger and rage and jealousy and frustration and a chip on our shoulder for a reason. Like, he gave us a tool belt of a lot of tools. Now, if I went through life always angry and full of rage and piss and vinegar, I'm probably going to be it's going to be a short-lived life. There comes a heart attack or a stroke.
That's right. Yeah.
But there are times in life, for example, you hear about the story of the mom who's driving down this, windy country highway, and she's got her kid in the back seat, and the car topples over, and no one in sight to help, and the kid's arm is stuck underneath the SUV, and she's able to somehow muster up all this strength to lift the corner of the SUV up to pull her baby out to safety. Did she use love and grace and gratitude?
Yeah.
Or was it just straight up mama bear rage and fucking frustration?
Right. It was channeled, right?
Yeah.
It was channeled, yeah.
So sometimes when the haters are out there on the sidelines rooting to see you fail, let them choke on your success. Use that anger and rage to make sure that they die.
I love that, man. I love that.
And then go back to being happy.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you could take that anger and rage and you could use it in a positive way, like you're talking about, channel it to lift that car, metaphorically speaking, or you could just join, the ranks of the haters and hate back. And next thing you know, you blink, 10 years have gone by and you've done nothing with your life.
That's exactly right.
Right. That's powerful. Perfect, man. I want to just kind of wrap this up with a couple of other things. What's next for Bedros? What are we looking forward to, man?
Good question. So what's next for me is 2 more books are being written simultaneously right now.
Nice.
And so one will launch in probably about 6 months. The other will launch in about 2 years.
Okay.
And that's strategically planned that way. But I told myself that I would maintain entrepreneurial discipline, and until I sell 250,000 copies of my book, Man Up,
Nice.
I won't launch book 2 and 3. Well, I've hit that milestone. And so, I'm currently working on those 2 books, and I'm super excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Do you want to say anything more about those now or maybe later?
Absolutely not.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and then the other big thing is obviously my podcast. I'm just massively grateful for the Bedros Keuilian Show, both on YouTube and the podcast platform. It continues to grow. We're always popping off in the top 5 spots on Spotify, and I know that it's a byproduct of all the great listeners who end up sharing my content, and that's not lost on me. I'm grateful for that.
Awesome, man. And your podcast is incredible.
Thank you.
I recommend it to quite a few people, and I think especially in the world that we live in, especially with the political climate, I think by the time this airs, we will have a new change of guard, so it'll be interesting to see. But I always point people back to your podcast. It's kind of a beacon of reason and a moral compass, so keep up the good work.
Thanks, brother.
Absolutely, man. One question I like to ask my guests at the end of every podcast is, I focus on rituals and routines to really promote and optimize resilience for my clients. So if Bedros could go back to his 20-year-old self and speak to that person, what rituals and routines would you talk to that person about either doing or not doing to become optimally resilient?
Bro, I love that question. And we are cut from the same cloth. This modern version of me is all about rituals and routines. In fact, I did a whole podcast episode on it probably about 4 months back.
Awesome.
If I can go back and talk to the 20-year-old version of me, it would be very simple. Go to sleep and wake up at the same time 7 days a week.
I love that, man.
The reason, this, again, is some biohacks and optimize the body. If we, as a young 20-some-odd-year-old, you're like, all right, I want to be successful, so I'm going to wake up at 5:30 every single day. But then Friday comes, and you party Friday, you party Saturday, you party most of Sunday. Right. And then Monday, the busiest day of the week that you're trying to, again, be successful and cross the finish line, your circadian rhythm's all screwed up, and you're maybe a little hungover from the weekend.
Right.
So the 20-year-old version of me, I would have said, stop drinking, go to sleep and wake up 7 days a week at the same time, and then understand that life is going to fly by so quickly. Set your eyes on a target and achieve that target at any cost, because no one's watching and no one's going to care whether you fail or not. As a young man, as a young human, we think like everyone's watching and waiting for us to fail.
Right.
Everyone's too busy watching and waiting for themselves to fail.
100%.
Like we're all worried about us. Like 100%. I'm not looking at you.
100%.
But when we're in our 20s, we're like, oh God, all eyes are on me.
Yeah.
So I better play it safe.
Yeah.
I played it safe way too long in my 20s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it wasn't until 29 years old, when my son Andrew was born, that I was like, all right, man, get serious now.
Awesome.
I shouldn't have waited to get serious at 29.
So take more chances when you're younger.
Take more chances. Tighten up that routine 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Don't drink, and say yes to the adventure of like achieving whatever it is you want.
I love that, man. I love that. Where can we follow Bedros?
Yeah, one of the best places.
Like,
best places to follow me is either on Instagram at Bedros Keuilian or on YouTube at Bedros Keuilian. And both places, they'll find me giving a lot of value. And if they enjoy the value that I add, feel free to subscribe or follow.
I love it. And guys, I can tell you from personal experience, absolutely follow the BK Show. It's incredible. It's shockingly free for so much value add. So if you're not following it, you absolutely should. It's a no-brainer. Bedros, thank you, man.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, great to talk to you.